Apple got their watch ban overturned. Google also creating some green bubbles, and the best of AMD yet to come. Let's get into the hot news on this Thursday, December 28th, 2023. We're going to start off today talking about the headline from yesterday, which was discussing Apple's ban on their smartwatches being available to be sold in the United States. They could no longer import them. You could only get them from third-party retailers like Best Buy and Amazon. But now a U.S. appeals court has paused that ban for at least 2 weeks until January 10th while Apple tries to sort all of this out. Specifically, they're going to wait until the U.S. Customs and Border Protection decides as to whether or not the redesigned Apple Watches are still violating Massimo's patents or if they're cleared to be sold here in the United States yet again. That decision should be reached by January 12th, and now there is a deadline of January 10th for Apple to stop selling their watches again. They already stopped selling these watches last week, so it's not clear if they're going to start reselling them in their own Apple stores or if they're just going to make this so that they can continue to bring them in again for those third-party stores like Amazon and Best Buy. We'll keep you updated as this progresses, but it is strange to see that Apple lost in this instance and now they are trying to work around getting all of that done. But I'm not going to work around that. We have a video sponsor for today. Today's video is sponsored by Vanta. Vanta is a compliance automation and trust management platform that helps businesses of all size manage risk, improve security in real time. Being responsible for security at a startup can be overwhelming, and that's where Vanta's continuous monitoring comes in. Vanta automates compliance monitoring for your most critical programs and workflows. By streamlining vendor security reviews and asset discovery, you can quickly find and eliminate points of unauthorized access and proactively address potential threats. And because Vanta automates up to 90% of the work for SOC 2, ISO 27001, and more, you'll be able to focus on strategy and security, not maintaining compliance. You can see why over 6,000 companies like Chili Piper, Patch, and Autodesk use Vanta to manage risk, improve security in real time. So you can click our link in the video description, vanta.com/UFD, to watch Vanta's 3-minute demo video. Again, go to vanta.com/UFD to check out the video. Big thanks again to Vanta for sponsoring today's video. Just like Apple's getting served up some judicial system, it looks like Google is serving up a taste of Apple's own medicine with their latest update to their messaging app. One of the features that people were excited about was that you can now customize the colors in Google Messages. But turns out it has the exact same limitation that Apple does in iMessage. You cannot set these custom colors if you happen to be conversing with somebody on SMS and MMS. If you were conversing by RCS, you can do all of this. If you're conversing by regular text messaging, well then it looks exactly like this. So Apple users on Android will now have a completely different look to them, just like Android users have that look on iMessage. Green bubbles now for Android, even though they're white bubbles, it's different. It's a different color, but the idea is the same. No customization, and everything has to look different. You're gonna know when somebody has an Android that doesn't support RCS. But it looks like every single video platform out there is gonna be supported by ads because Amazon Prime announcing that Prime Video will start to get ads as of January 29th, or you can pay $2.99 to the service in order to avoid them altogether. This is coming after a long history of Amazon just wrangling Prime Video into your Amazon Prime subscription, which has different benefits on top of that, such as the fact that you get cheaper shipping and you're able to do a few other things. There's even Prime Music and Prime Reading that you can do. There are extemporaneous benefits to the Prime membership. Prime Video was one of them, and now they're adding ads into there. I'm personally not of the mindset that this bothers me, especially because it's a tacked on feature. I don't pay for Amazon Prime for Prime Video. It's just like a nice add-on. I probably won't spend the $2.99, but I also know that certain countries, like at least earlier on in South Africa, when they wanted to watch the Grand Tour, because they couldn't get the Amazon Prime membership, they had to pay for Prime Video separately, and that was a $2.99. I think it was a $3 charge, so it's not clear how that's going to affect other countries like that. But what has affected some of your beloved consoles is Nintendo. They are shutting down the online playability for the Wii U and 3DS way earlier than than they actually said. Some users are experiencing that they are not able to online play. What was some really important online games for the 3DS? Monster Hunter 4 Ultimate. You can't do that anymore online. What about the Wii U? Splatoon! It's ruined now. And this is after Nintendo said that they were likely not going to be shutting down the servers until April of 2024. But even in that message, they did say that it could potentially happen earlier than planned. According to reports, this is a slow rollout where Nintendo is shutting down these services, and this is on top of the fact that they shut down the eShops where you're able to buy everything earlier this year. So all of those older things that you loved are now dying. Your friends are going to start fading away one by one as they can no longer log into that Splatoon server. Godspeed. Which is what I say to Reece. I don't know if there's deals. He's like traveling. He didn't even tell me where he's going or if he's doing deals today. It's the holidays. I don't blame him.
Yo, welcome back to UFD Deals, bringing the hottest tech deals out on the internet. Is Vacation Reece checking in from the beach. You guys might be able to hear it in the background. If not, I have a couple of audio deals that might be able to help you, just hear things better. Because starting off today, we have the Corsair Virtuoso wireless gaming headset available in white for only $110.49, making it $89.50 off. Then next up, we have the Bose 700 wireless noise cancelling headset, which is absolutely amazing, and it's going for only $259, making it $120 off. And with that, the deal's done. You can find these and more linked in the video description down below. But until next time, I'm gonna hand you off back to Brett and Carla for the rest of your hot news. Cheers.
Thank you or thank you not, Reece. But it turns out New York Times thinks that they got a very bad deal from OpenAI and Microsoft with regards to how all of the training data was acquired for ChatGPT, with them now suing OpenAI and Microsoft for this, stating that there are billions of dollars in statutory and actual damages that they want to hold these companies accountable for. They state that OpenAI didn't have any licensing agreements with them, even though it was one of the most highly used proprietary source to train GPT-3, and that 66 million records, whether it was news stories, it was op-eds from New York Times on their websites and other brands, that was actually used to train the AI that became ChatGPT. So it's not clear how this is going to resolve. Maybe New York Times is just seeking a licensing agreement from OpenAI for them to pay, or this could potentially pave the way for future lawsuits, depending on how this one goes. If it was ruled in favor of New York Times, that could mean that a lot of the training data that was acquired by these companies is now subject to lawsuit, and companies outside of OpenAI being able to go and collect some sort of monetary compensation for the fact that their data was used, which could also then bleed into this whole artist conversation of having your art being used to train some of these creative AIs. That could then be grounds for a lawsuit. And if it's proven by a big company, it might be easier for some of the smaller people to make it happen, or New York Times will settle outside of court and there will be no precedent set. I'm curious to see how this goes. This is a big deal, a big company taking on another big company. I want to see how this plays out because it will have ramifications. And one of the ramifications of NVIDIA launching a GPU power connector that melted is that there's a lot of confusion going around with it. So Seasonic came out and said, hey, we've got a new one. We got a new little connector we want you to try, and we'll give it to you for free if you beta test it for us. That $1,600 GPU you got there, let's see if this actually melts it or not. Their cable is called the 12V-2x6 power connector, and it is redesigned so that it is a right angle so that the strain isn't coming straight off and then pulling down, especially if it's up against a case panel, making it so that it should be slightly better and having less problems. This is coming after Seasonic officially recommended that you should use a hairdryer to bend your 4090 cables to get it more malleable and pliable so that you can actually fit it into your PC. But after the internet caught wind of that, they actually ended up unofficially resigning that official suggestion. Seasonic no longer, at least publicly, claims that you should use a hairdryer to bend your power cables. That has been taken off the internet. But what's been put on the internet is the fact that AMD might be coming out with some more enticing GPUs in the next few months. New EEC filings coming out from one of AMD's GPU partners indicating that we could potentially be getting an RX 7600 XT, an RX 7700, and an RX 7800. Now, there are a few questions in here, like the fact that EEC filings aren't necessarily always super reliable. But also, where would these fall into the pricing structure that AMD currently has? There is a big gap in performance from the RX 7600 up to the 7700 XT, so filling that out with either a 7700 or 7600 XT would be beneficial, but an RX 7800 doesn't have a whole lot of wiggle room to be priced competitively against the 7800 XT and the 7700 XT, since those were released at such a close price together. So maybe AMD is going to be restructuring all of their GPU prices in January, especially as NVIDIA is launching the Super Series, or maybe some of these GPUs that are being filed aren't actually going to launch, or none of them are going to launch, but it's at least interesting to keep our eyes placed out there in the ether trying to find out whether or not we're going to get some more compelling GPUs from AMD's side. And you guys gave us some compelling comment response yesterday. Mohawk Ninja said one contributing factor that made me decide to go with an AMD GPU upgrade was due to the concerns over the wonderful NVIDIA connector. I agree. Too Much J-Pop says, I agree that people need to be better at stating their opinions and concerns. That being said, Brett never seems to address the fact that in his Portal review, he doesn't address the fact that taking it on the go and using it in places like hospitals and hotels are highly unlikely due to the lack of a browser for logging. Kyler, can you go grab me?
And I'm Kyle. Did I miss the beginning?
You did. You're a little late.
I got something for you.
That's because we're working on a follow-up to our Portal video where we're going to discuss some of the points that people took issue with, including the fact that you can get around those Portal logins, the browser logins, with a $30 device.
You bypass the portal with your portal.
Yeah, you can. The portal can get into the captive portal with a very simple thing, which has a lot of uses outside of just being able to do that. Like, the reason you would take this anywhere is so that everybody's device is connected to this. Like, this is the access point that people use.
Yeah, you're ignoring blocks on how many devices you can have logged into your hotel Wi-Fi potentially.
So you don't have to go to your wife's computer, your kid's iPad, your iPhone. You don't have to
sign everybody in.
Yeah, you don't have to do that. It's just a cheap little device. It's really not that hard or complicated to get around. We'll have a full video out on that soon.
It has airflow.
Yeah. Aiden Ansu is saying, excited from our Oculink adaptation. I agree. We just got our first Oculink device today.
That was
GPD
interesting.
Win Mini. I'm excited for it. Den of Tim's saying, I appreciate Kyle giving me advice. I will take this going forward when I go to state my arguing against someone else's argument. Kyle is awesome. Hope he keeps up the good work.
Was this the person I was yelling at yesterday?
Potentially? I don't remember. I can't remember.
Thanks.
That was great. Appreciate it. Goodfella says, I never thought I would see the day that the US would tell Apple no. It's usually only been the EU who doesn't allow these giant tech companies complete freedom. Tech companies need to be strongly regulated, especially if they're worth $1 trillion, something American administrations have failed to do for decades. I'm not going to necessarily comment on the should, need to, all of the second half of your comment, but I agree with the first half of, like, I didn't think this would happen.
I'm not gonna necessarily disagree with you.
It's not the whole like need to, should thing, like that's a political and more meta discussion.
Like the Facebook company?
Exactly. Mm-hmm. But for me, I don't really want to go there right now. But I agree that like I never thought America was going to abandon Apple. It's worth trillions of dollars. Why would we do this?
Apple is America.
I mean, you're not. Like, so far off.
No.
Fungal Droth says, your pronunciation Junshin properly caught me off guard.
Guerd.
Excuse me, jarred. Cody Benskin says, if I pay for anything, the manufacturer owns nothing. Brett says he isn't bothered, just referees and more of this. Be bothered by folks losing money. I don't know what you mean by referees, so I don't know what you're saying, but also, like...
We're fairies.
I am bothered by folks losing money. I'm saying, for me, I didn't lose money.
Like
because
the little nougat things with the nuts?
Ferrero Rochers? What are you saying?
We're fairies.
When I buy a digital media asset, and then I play the game... And then if it was taken away, I didn't lose money. I got my value out of it. I extracted my value, not your value. Maybe you wanna watch what's a popular Discovery show?
Deadliest Catch.
You want to watch Deadliest Catch until you die, and Sony's taking that away from you. You did not extract all of your value, and I am bothered by that for you. I am saying that if I bought Deadliest Catch, I would have watched it once and never again.
Well, you would have rented it.
No, I just wouldn't have watched it. This is my personal life.
What do you have against Deadliest Catch?
Why just let them go? You don't need to catch them. Why do
They're
you gotta kill
deadly.
them?
They're deadly.
I thought the catching was deadly.
The catch is the dead.
Gamesco says, as someone who's not hardcore into Minecraft, I don't understand the hate for Bedrock Minecraft. In my experience, I've had better performance, better render distance, and a much easier time to play with my friends, better pizza, better ingredients. Is there something about Java Minecraft I'm missing besides being more modder friendly?
Well, to be totally honest, it's been a minute since I played Minecraft. It's just, as I can remember, Bedrock Edition was just a different version entirely. It was like how whenever Minecraft was originally ported for mobile, it was remade, it was a different game, it had different like physics and functions and like crafting stuff. I don't know if that's actually the case anymore. They might have changed it.
Doesn't it also, like, the Bedrock Edition is what you can sync across all of the different consoles and devices, so it's like more compatible.
I've been playing Minecraft on PC exclusively my entire life. My whole life since I was born.
Yeah.
Because I'm 12.
Right.
Please. My retort is nuh-uh.
Wolvie says, did Brett just call disk drives historical architecture? Cue all 47 people who are going to comment saying they still use one. I didn't. That wasn't my point.
That was a different thing.
Yeah, no. If you've ever watched us on Twitch and I've discussed historical architecture.
He's talking about, like, the Sistine Chapel. Like,
I'm not saying it publicly. I'm not talking about that right now. All I'm saying is that I can see how you construed that, and yes, disk drives are historical architecture. Manchi Abad saying, why do you make a distinction between physical media, digital films, and games you purchased, and non-physical media? If you got photos of a wedding of a friend of yours deleted because the photographer decided the friend had no more rights to the photos made.
NFTs.
That, but also I see what you're saying, but if I had an agreement with the photographer where I said I will own these photos so long as you say it's okay, and then they say, hey, I no longer say it's okay.
Well, no,
it is the same situation playing out. You agreed to this when you purchased it. You just, now that they're enforcing it, you're like, hey, I didn't actually want to agree to that. I didn't see the repercussions of everything that we're going through right now. But also, like, what I initially thought this comment meant, and it doesn't appear to be what it meant. I was thinking with physical media, I actually assume I'm no longer going to be able to play it in the future. I assume it's going to disappear. I assume this photograph that you should look at is going to wither and fade because it is a physical thing that is subject to entropy and death. Same thing with discs. They will get scratched. They will get manipulated so much that they will eventually be unplayable. And then if that happens, I would buy another copy of the game. Or I would stop playing the game because it has, like, my PS2 games. I'm sorry about Jack 2. I'm not going to play them anymore.
You're wrong.
I moved past that.
You're going to play it. You're going to play it.
Okay. Any comment?
Bye!